Hello Logic Channel. I am Ramona, and today's Reddit story, or stories, I guess, because there's going to be more than one. What is the creepiest, most unexplained thing that's ever happened to you? The original poster asked, have you ever experienced anything you just can't explain? Ghosts, weird occurrences, gut feelings that came true, anything that felt paranormal? I'm not here to judge, just really curious. Drop your stories. I want to get creeped out. Hopefully you do too, that's why you clicked on this. But here we go, ready? I don't know whether you've ever heard of sleep paralysis. Many people believe that it's caused by spirits or jinns, and it's a terrible experience because you can't move any part of your body apart from watching your surroundings and being unable to move. Next thing you can do is shed tears when the moment passes. And someone replies with, my brother and I never had a history of sleep paralysis, but we were both experienced it for the first time in a certain room of my parents' house. We had the exact same sleep paralysis dream, down to a T. I remember being awake in bed watching TV and heard footstep sounds, thinking my younger brother was home from work. Next thing I know, a figure in a white hazmat-type suit is at the foot of my bed, reaching towards me. I was trying to scream for my mom, but couldn't move. Then all of a sudden it was over. I never told anyone about this except for my boyfriend. One day, we're hanging out at home with some friends, and my brother asks, have you guys ever had sleep paralysis? And he starts to describe the exact same thing that happened to me, including the footsteps, and thinking it was our younger brother. I start describing the figure, and he's like, yeah, I saw the same guy. It was really creepy to discover. That could be sleep paralysis. That actually takes my mind to somewhere else, but I'll let you figure that one out. Always had paranormal things happen, but what sticks out the most is when I'm sitting on my couch with my husband and a magazine just flew open and each page was flipped. Someone wanted us to read. Was up at about 2 or 3 a.m. drinking with my buddy, telling stories. He had massive speakers in his living room that were all off but plugged in. We were talking about our grandfathers whom we had both passed and their last moments. My friend was talking about how all the clocks stopped at his grandfather's house when he died, and some other suspicious activity happened when we had carried his body to the undertaker, and right at the climax of his story, feedback blasted out on the speakers. We looked at each other and said, weird. 20 or 30 minutes had passed, and I was talking about my own grandfather, and the very last words he said to me, which were kind of funny, so I repeated them. As you wander through life, brother, whatever be your goal, keep your eye upon the donut and not upon the hole. The second I finished, boom, feedback again, but more sustained this time. We looked at each other wide-eyed and said, weird coincidence. My friend had an aunt who had unfortunately died from suicide in her mid-20s. She was an incredibly talented artist who was famous for her quilts, currently in museums, and these quilts were all over his house. I was quite obsessed with them, and with her in general, because it was a very striking black and white photo of her in the living room that caught my eye every time I was in his house. Anyway, he was talking about her life and ended up talking about her death, which was by jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. The moment he finished his story, the speakers went off again, and the photo fell off the wall, which was about 10 feet away from us. We both ran across the room and got in a corner, now genuinely scared. It was an insane timing, and not only the story, and I'm not doing the story justice. We both agreed to never talk about it again, and we didn't. 15 years later, this is the first time I've ever told anyone about it. The only unexplainable thing is an old radio stored in a wardrobe for more than 30 years, turning on the week after its owner died. There were no batteries, and it was unplugged, or maybe some cockroaches managed to turn it on, helped by some ants. I recently posted on another sub. Just wanted to really get this off my chest. When I was about 5 years old, almost 30 now, I had a vision or a dream. I can't really tell which. I was too young. As I remember, I was playing. I decided to go into a room with my stuffed toy, which was lying by the window. I took it and turned around to leave the room. In the doorway, I saw an elderly woman, terribly emaciated, almost like a skeleton covered in skin, with sunken eyes. She was staring at me. Her face was exactly like my grandmother's, except that my grandmother was not so thin. She was also wearing my grandmother's robe and had the same hairstyle. I was terribly scared. I closed my eyes, and when I opened them, the old woman was gone. From that day on, I told my parents and all my family and friends about the vision. And now, almost a year ago, my grandmother died of stomach cancer. She had been overweight all of her life, but in the end of her life she had lost a lot of weight and looked terribly similar to the woman in my vision. It really haunts me. When I was young, I thought that maybe I was just an advanced thinker because sometimes I predicted what I will do or predicted something in the future. It's like there's some sort of vision or something. I grew up thinking that it was normal, not until my prediction because more often it became a burden to me. One of the most painful predictions I had was one of my family members dying. When I first thought of it, I didn't believe it, uh, because maybe it was a lie. Maybe it was just my thoughts thinking something bad, but it happened. After that, I started hating this. I tried to stop having advanced thoughts or visions about things, which I can say is hard to do, but I became used to it. By the time I didn't experience them, often unlike before. I'm glad. But recently, these days, I feel like they will come back again. Sorry about that. Dogs don't like the trash guy picking up the trash across the street. I've had paranormal experiences my whole life. My mother, brother, and all three of my kids are like magnets for that stuff. My mother, brother, and stepfather lived in a very haunted house in Cape Breton, NS. I don't know what that is. Sorry. In its prime, the house had been used as a place to hold wakes for the small community. One morning, my mother got up and went into the kitchen. Every single drawer and cupboard was open, and the contents of the cupboard were stacked on the counters. The living room, where the bodies would have been during the wake, was so haunted my mother only used it for storage. The glass doors were always closed. Our dog wouldn't go near that room. Nothing could entice her. On a dare, she went into the room. My brother wanted to see how long I could last in there. Turns out it wasn't long. The door slammed shut, and the knob was somehow stuck. There weren't any locks, and the doors were clear glass. That room made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. It made me feel queasy. In that same house, I heard furniture being dragged all night. I could hear footsteps, like someone wearing heels. Big, heavy footsteps, like a man. It kept me up all night. In the morning, I told my mother that my brother had kept me awake, moving things around and hearing heavy boots in the house. As it turned out, he wasn't even home. My mother told me that she just learned to sleep through those noises. I've had so many experiences, but that house terrifies me. I arrived at my friend's front door before they were home and heard loud laughing, conversation, and pots and pans clinking. Nobody was supposed to be home. I used my key to enter because I didn't think they would hear me knock. It was so loud. I expected to see a party, but there was nothing. It went silent. Nobody was home. Creeped me out so bad. Told my friend about it and said, "Oh yeah, that happens. They party in the backyard, too." Had a glowing ball of white bluish light about the size of a beach ball floating a foot or two off the ground across the road in front of me and my friend. Neither of us said anything at first. Then a minute or two later, kind of looked at each other, and he said, "You saw that shit too, huh?" Pulled into my driveway one night, and something slammed into the roof of my truck. Like so loud, I jumped, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I sat in the truck for like 10 minutes and heard nothing else, saw nothing, before finally getting out, and there was nothing. Sitting on the couch with the wife, watching TV late one night, and my phone rings right at midnight. I forget now what the number was, or if it was a normal number, but I remember not being able to look it up or call it back. I ignored the call, and voicemail was left. I listened to it and could just barely make out talking in the background. After listening to it for a few times, I realized the talking was from the show we were watching on the TV at the time. Rewound the show just to confirm that it was the same dialogue. Dogman, in mid-afternoon, utterly surreal, and now I've uncovered enough of that traumatic memory to deal with it and help others as well. There are some wooded county city lands along the river that I liked to hike when I was in college. I don't know why, but there was one occasion where I felt like I was being followed on my way back, where I went and had my car parked. The next couple times I went, I felt like I was being followed the whole time. The last time I tried hiking there, I stepped off the pavement and through the trees and immediately became frozen in place. It felt like I was stuck there way longer than I actually was, and the whole time I was stuck. There, I felt like I was being yelled at by something I couldn't see or hear. As soon as I could move again, I turned around and went straight to my car and straight back to where I was living at the time. We live in an old Milwaukee bungalow, and on the second floor stairs, no attic, just knee holes for storage, are in my bedroom. Grandma lived up there too. It's a half-finished suite. Unfortunately, she passed up there as well when I was about 10. Years later, maybe as a sophomore, I'm standing near the stairs and putting on hand lotion, just kind of zoning out as I prepped for bed. It's pretty late. Dad had already left for third shift, and Mom's in their bedroom down at the hall. Like someone is standing next to me, and I hear, "Good night." Honestly, I didn't think anything of it. I turned, went down the hall to Mom's room, and said good night, except that she was asleep. Snoring, in fact. Confused, I tried again. This time I woke her up, and she irritably told me to go to bed. Thanks so much for waking her. And then it hit me. I turned to look back down the hall in shock, eyes wide. I slept with the lamp on that night. I'm convinced that it was Grandma. This house is weird. It's not the only strange thing that's happened, but the creepiest that I've personally experienced. My recent conversations with ChatGPT. The whole thing is scarier than ghosts and all that, and goes into the am I talking to a self-evolving alien, and the creators don't even understand what they've made. It's well and truly freaked me out. Let's keep moving on. When my step-grandpa was dying, I was alone in my parents' house with our dog. I opened the door to my bathroom and saw a black and white figure zip past me into the adjacent room. It was shorter than me, maybe 5'10", up to my chin. Could have sworn I felt the air current from the movement, too. Wasn't freaked out, though, more fascinated by it. Definitely not disturbing to me. I feel like the unknown isn't always creepy, just misunderstood. I'm pretty sure I died when I was younger, and am now on some other effed up timeline. I remember stumbling down the stairs at my house, very vividly, but halfway down I jumped, kind of like flew up, or floated maybe is a better word for it. I landed somehow at the bottom, but I'm almost positive I broke my neck and something, and died that day. I was probably like 4, and I wasn't in school yet. When I was 4 or 5-ish, my mom left me, and my older sister, who was 9, and my cousin and my brother, 14, 15, at home alone. They were playing GTA, and I was there just hyping them up. They were too immersed in the game, and when we all heard a doorbell go off, I rushed to open the door. Mind you, I'm 4, so I can't look through the peephole. So my older sister went on her tiptoes to look, and said it was Mom. We live in a building, there's a pretty religious family, and we're a pretty religious family now. So my mom came wearing a familiar black and red burqa while entering the house with a salam. I didn't really think much of it because this was normal. She entered the house and patted my head and went back to the game. We went back to the game, and she went to her room to relax. I heard her reciting the Quran in the next room. After I don't know how long, I was bored because I wanted to play, but older siblings were bullying me. So I went to get a little snitch to Mom. I went to the next room, but it was empty. I thought that she was in the washroom, so I checked there. They were empty too. I was confused, so I ran around the whole house frantically looking for her, but I couldn't find her. As a child, I was kind of scared going to the rooftop alone, even though we lived on the top floor and it was just 2 flights of stairs. I thought she was watering her plants, so I gathered up the courage to look for her up there. I went up 1 flight of stairs and saw the roof door was locked. After my older sister called and asked where I was going, I told her I couldn't find Mom, and she helped me check the house again. Now, parents don't leave without telling their children under 15 where they are going. So we just thought that we didn't hear her leave. So when she came back, we saw a polythene in her hand and thought she went to the shop. So we started accusing her of leaving without telling us. It turns out she never came back, and whatever touched me that day has since been my attachment. And someone says it could be a jinn. Could be. This happened in my late teens when I was about 20 years old. Or about 20 years ago, sorry. I was out for a late night stroll down to the St. Boniface Cathedral in WPG, creepy building as it was, with my girlfriend. We gradually made our way towards the river, a walkway behind the St. Boniface Hospital, going south towards our apartment. As things happen when in love, a daring makeout session began on the park bench while taking a breather from what was already been a 2-hour hike around town. Things were hot and heavy when we suddenly both hear a slapping sound, a sharp, snapping slap. Looking around, we saw nothing, just us, nature, and the glow of the yellow streetlights a few yards away until we looked towards the backside of the hospital. Maybe standing 20 feet away with a nun, a leather strap in her hand, slapping it against the wall. We both got up, utterly stunned at the scene. First off, what's a nun doing at 3 a.m. outdoors behind a hospital, and why is she carrying a leather strap? I opened my mouth to begin to apologize for things she may have seen when she very abruptly turned around and walked through the wall back into the hospital. No doors, no windows, just a brick wall, and she went through it. We elected to make post-haste for home and to pick better places to make out in the darkness of night. Well, there you go. Quite a few interesting little stories there. I'm going to make several parts to this video. There's a lot of responses here, and these are pretty good stories, so hope you have enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, maybe go watch another video, maybe subscribe to the channel or leave a comment. That would be cool. Until then, we'll talk to you next time.